Weekly show channel here over at SubStars or over at Odyssey. So the massive Epstein Island misfire. All these social media influencers, well, they're absolutely garbage. There's a Mossad connection between the Epstein, this issue, and 4 of the 5 have connections to the underlying country. And I think the 5th is super hardcore pro that country anyway. You can go through her Twitter account to see where her loyalties lie, which is kind of a problem when the underlying issue is that country in question. If it seems like a conflict of interest, that's obviously because it is. And what weird optics it is to select these people to give a binder full of nothing. And then they go on Twitter and try to monetize it because they're monetized on Twitter and everything's about clickbait. Just wait, the next big thing is coming. Arrests are coming, and it's like Q level of delusions. No, they're not. You people are all grifting parasites. The left wing had a similar vibe with the various people who are going after Trump. Different prosecutors and witnesses were always waiting in the wings. Just watch our live streams and engage with our Twitter account, super chat and buy our t-shirts type of stuff. It was garbage and copium on the left and the right. The thing is, it's good to hold Trump's administration accountable. Just, your side, their side. They're not your side if they're not doing what they said they would do. They said they would release the files on day 1, and they lied, which people are slowly learning that there is no left or right, not in the way they thought. There's you looking to the left at both the left and the right, and they're on one side. And the thing is with politicians is like, it was like, who was that? Kamala Harris in some interview. She goes, it was a debate when she was questioned on why she lied. And the guy didn't press her any further on it, but it's like, you're a politician, you can't just, we're in the area where both the left and right politicians are openly lying all the time, and nobody's holding them accountable to it. So what happened is this country overseas, the one that must not be named, it's coming to a time where the West is just going to have to admit that there's an issue with their level of control and separate from that country and its influence, because we shouldn't have to self-censor or risk getting kicked off of platforms or losing our bank accounts or payment processors. But the reality is we do. A small channel like this has got more freedom, but you can only go so far with it. So countries spy on each other, and they use espionage all the time, including people who are legitimately allies. And then there's countries that are kind of allies in quotes, because that one special country is famous for spying on its puppet to make sure that it remains a good slave, and they get caught and nothing happens. Usually, eventually, every once in a while, someone will go to prison. But then luckily at the end of whether it's a Democrat or a Republican president, at the end of their term, they'll pardon those, including some, Trump pardoned, or was it Clinton? Maybe pardoned the Rosenbergs. It was a different Rosenbergs, not the ones from the 50s who got the death penalty. But Clinton pardoned some other ones who, and actually the district attorney of Oakland is the child of one of the Rosenbergs, but he changed his name. And then Trump pardoned, I think, Pollard was a spy for that country, which seems like you really shouldn't be pardoning these people who are guilty of, it's not called they're not traitors, because that's like a wartime term. There's something else. That country likes to control the narrative and public perception, and the best way to do that is with media, social media, and simply by paying politicians with political action committees, which they do, except for one politician. And it's kind of a weird coincidence that this one guy who doesn't take any money from AIPAC and the various other donations, which are just proxies of that country, he tragically lost his wife. Kind of weird. He's the one guy who isn't their slave and speaks out against them, and his wife passed away. Another way to control politicians and public figures is via blackmail, which is where the island comes into play. And I suspect that for a lot of them, it's not exactly blackmail, which means you're kind of making someone do something they would not have done but for your interference, like the Governor Whitmore case that Radix Verum covers, because they're kind of willing to help these Satanists push a narrative already. But if they can get paid for it, obviously they're going to take the money. Or if they can go to and you know, one way or another, that money is probably being paid for by taxpayers via U.S. aid or something similar. Or if they can go to an island, do drugs, and you know, have some underage activities as a reward, then they're going to be on board with that as well. The Dershowitz going to Imagine you see Dershowitz walking in his underwear to be taken care of, and you look at him, it's just the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. Anyway, people thought it was weird that this whole Epstein, Maxwell, Dershowitz thing went down, and Epstein and his partner Brunel, who was in a French prison, were both hit by a case of someone deleting them and trying to make it look like they removed themselves from this mortal coil, which is not likely when the cameras, both in France and America, both cameras went off, and the security guards were looking for new motorcycles and like boats to buy with their bribe money. All that actually happened. And you know, the real story is the media didn't cover it. They just took them at their word and moved on, because they didn't want to be the next victims, which is probably what would have happened. It's like, oh, those are both countries that need that have a serious problem and are going to need unconventional solutions to solve that problem, because you can't have an extrajudicial force who secretly controls both countries when they need to. That's not how functional civilizations continue for long. So there's a lot of things going on that people just don't believe it at first, because they can't understand why countries would accept being puppets. So anyway, Epstein, Maxwell, and Brunel got caught, but none of the clients did, which should tell you that, you know, it's another thing that tells you that we have very serious issues when the clients, like, it wasn't even an issue. And the other secondary issue thing is that the media didn't make an issue of it. Weird. So Trump was running for office and was saying the files would be released on day one, which was a stupid thing to say. And it's been over a month, and Pam Bondi was saying she had the files on her desk, and then she said the FBI was withholding files. Then, and keep in mind, we're talking about these Epsteins being with underage kids, so it's a serious matter, but Trump decides not to just post everything up on a website, which is what you would logically do. You have some .gov website with a lot of server, power that allows people to have massive downloads because it would get swamped, and just upload all these PDFs to, you know, multiple locations, as well as giving people maybe physical DVD copies of it or whatever, just to have it all out there, have everyone have the same access to it simultaneously. But instead of that very logical solution, he had his people go through it first to redact victim information. It's like, okay, for that one reason, that's fair, but like that should have already happened, and it should have already been published. And the fact that it's not should tell you that it's all over. It's all a lie. And so they released some of it to social media influencers who are in the pocket of that very influential country, and they take pictures of them smiling with folders that document the Epstein abuse of girls under the age. And slowly it dawns on the MAGA normies that this is all bullshit, and it absolutely is. You can't see this circus of the absurd and think that you're going to change things via conventional political solution. That ship sailed in the 60s. Anyway, Attorney General Pam Bondi wrote a demand letter to Patel at the FBI for the files, and then shoved her thumb up her ass for all the good it does. If the FBI didn't send you something, then the special agent in charge needs to be fired immediately, which is what should happen for the top of the FBI anyway. Retire the top 100 people, or top 1,000 people even, and just start going after people like they went after Trump. Start arresting people. Start putting them through the process that they put you through. And there's a bigger issue to this, where there's a divergence, some growing schism between the left and the right. The thing is, where you're using political, you're not behaving like, this isn't cricket, you're not behaving like gentlemen. And that kind of started when they went after Trump, which the left never should have done to put this on the table, but they were just blind with rage. And it's like, well, you opened the door to this line of behavior, and now it's all on the table, and Trump better have learned his lesson and start going after these people. And what that means is we're on a one-way trip to the logical conclusion. Countries don't last forever. That's not like edgy glow posting. That's just, it's just a matter of history. Country had a good run. You might as well play by the rules and take it to its logical conclusion. The Epstein files are not going to come out, not without being so heavily edited that the whole issue is moot. Giving these Israeli first controlled ops lukewarm milquetoast Twitter influencers a binder full of nothing important is not an auspicious start to anything. And then the government website itself went to a Rick Ashley video, because your government, which is supposed to be a high trust, very serious, decorum, gravitas, they're trying to be funny, which is a problem because the topic is Epstein's Mossad struggle snuggling kids to make blackmail honeypot videos. And the responses to that government trolling, which they deleted it. It's like, well, yes, you need to fire whoever made that decision, whoever saw that and didn't raise a stink about that. The responses to that were Fed posting types of responses, and though, of course, I would never advocate that sort of thing, you can understand where they're coming from. So is everything fake and lighthearted and frivolous? Yes, it is. Anyway, there's another video. I had to do two versions of this because there's just no way to be honest and put it on YouTube. So the Odyssey BitChute version will have a slightly different version of this. But I mean, you can probably read between the lines to understand what's going on. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.